In the quiet village of Kaso, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, lived a couple named Kisule and Nasolo. Their home, a modest cottage with a thatched roof, stood at the edge of the village, surrounded by a vibrant orchard where they grew the finest fruits. Every morning, the couple would rise with the sun, tend to their trees, and then head to the bustling village market to sell their produce. Kisule and Nasolo were known for their hard work and the love they shared, which was evident to anyone who saw them together. Despite their happiness, there was one shadow that loomed over their lives. Nasolo could not conceive a child. In a village where large families were the norm and children were considered a blessing, Nasolo's barrenness became the subject of gossip. The women at the market, jealous of the couple's seemingly perfect life, would whisper among themselves, casting pitying glances at Nasolo. Poor Nasolo, they would say, all that love and hard work, but no children to show for it. Some of these women, seeing an opportunity, began to approach Kisule with suggestive offers. Kisule, they would say, sidling up to him at his fruit stall, why waste your life with a barren woman? We can give you children. Leave her and come to us. Kisule, however, would have none of it. He loved Nasolo deeply and would always turn away from these women, his heart steadfast. Nasolo is my wife, he would reply firmly. We are a family, whether we have children or not. One evening, as the couple returned home from the market, Nasolo broke down in tears. Kisule, she sobbed, how can I bear this any longer? Every day, I feel the eyes of the village on me, judging me for something I cannot change. Kisule embraced her, his voice gentle but resolute. Nasolo, my love, do not listen to their cruel words. They do not know the strength of our bond. We will find happiness together, no matter what. The nights in Kaso were usually serene, the only sounds being the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of night creatures. But one night, as Kisule and Nasolo lay in bed, they heard a strange noise coming from the orchard. It was a soft, eerie whispering, like the wind carrying voices. Kisule grabbed a lantern and went outside to investigate. As he moved through the rows of fruit trees, the whispering grew louder. He followed the sound to the oldest tree in the orchard, a massive, gnarled thing that had stood there for generations. To his astonishment, he saw a faint, ghostly figure under the tree. The apparition was that of a woman, her face sad and her eyes hollow. Kisule, she spoke, her voice like the rustling of leaves, I am the spirit of this tree. Long ago, I too was childless and scorned by my village. My sorrow bound me to this place. Kisule, though frightened, stood his ground. What do you want from us? He asked. The spirit looked at him with sorrowful eyes. I sense the pain of your wife, and I wish to help. Take one of the fruits from this tree and give it to her to eat. But beware, for this gift comes with a warning, joy and sorrow are two sides of the same coin. Kisule returned to the cottage, the eerie words of the spirit echoing in his mind. He told Nasolo about the encounter and, after much hesitation, they decided to follow the spirit's advice. The next morning, Nasolo ate one of the fruits from the ancient tree. Days turned into weeks, and soon Nasolo began to feel changes within her. To their astonishment and joy, she became pregnant. The news spread through the village, and the gossiping women fell silent, their jealousy now turning into curiosity and wonder. Months passed, and Nasolo gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The couple's happiness knew no bounds, and for a time it seemed that their lives were perfect. However, the spirit's warning had not been in vain. As their son grew, strange occurrences began to happen. The once peaceful nights were now filled with unearthly whispers and shadows that seemed to move on their own. The child, though healthy, had an eerie air about him. His eyes, deep and dark, seemed to hold secrets of the ancient world. Villagers began to avoid the family, whispering of curses and dark magic. Kisule and Nasolo, though fearful, stood by their son, their love unwavering. One stormy night, as lightning split the sky and thunder rumbled through the hills, the spirit appeared again. "Your love has brought forth life," she said, "but the balance must be maintained. Your son is a bridge between two worlds, and his destiny is tied to the ancient forces of this land." Kisule and Nasolo listened, their hearts heavy with a mixture of fear and understanding. "What must we do?" Kisule asked. "Raise him with love and strength," the spirit replied. "Teach him the ways of both worlds, and he will bring harmony where there is discord. But remember, his path will not be easy, and neither will yours." Nasolo had endured the whispers and sneers of the villagers for far too long. Despite the joy of their son's birth and the fulfillment it brought her and Kisule, the cruelty of their neighbors and market colleagues never ceased. One evening, as the family sat by the fire, Nasolo turned to her husband with a heavy heart. "Kisule," she said softly, "I can no longer bear the mistreatment of our neighbors and workmates. Every day, their words cut deeper. Let's move away from this village, to a place where nobody knows us, so we can find peace." Kisule listened, understanding her pain. "I understand, Nasolo," he replied, "but we need time to sell our house and collect the money from our business. Let's wait a few more months. We'll prepare and then leave this place for good." And so, they waited, working diligently to ensure they could secure a better future for their family. The months passed, and Kisule and Nasolo sold their house and gathered all the money they needed. Finally, they were ready to leave Kazo behind. They moved to a faraway village called Muyenga, a place where the rolling hills and serene lakes promised a fresh start. There, they found a beautiful house, nestled among lush greenery, far from the prying eyes and wagging tongues of their old village. This time, they agreed to keep their private life guarded, sharing only what was necessary to live peacefully among their new neighbors. In Muyenga, life took on a different rhythm. The villagers were friendly but respectful, and Nasolo and Kisule quickly found a comfortable routine. They set up a new fruit stall in the local market, and their produce quickly gained popularity for its quality and freshness. Their son, now a bright and curious boy, made new friends and explored the new surroundings with wonder. One day, while Nasolo was arranging fruits at the market, an elderly woman approached her stall. Her eyes, though kind, seemed to hold a deep wisdom. "Welcome to Muyenga," she said with a warm smile. "I'm Mama Zina. I've heard many good things about your fruit." Nasolo smiled back, grateful for the woman's kindness. "Thank you, Mama Zina. We are happy to be here." As the days turned into weeks, Mama Zina would often visit their stall, offering advice and sharing stories of the village. Despite their initial reluctance, Nasolo and Kisule found comfort in her presence. She never pried, never asked about their past, but her understanding gaze made them feel at ease. One evening, as Mama Zina sat with them for tea, she gently placed her hand on Nasolo's. "My dear, I can see the weight you carry," she said softly. "Sometimes, a fresh start is all we need, but it doesn't erase the past. Remember, you are stronger than you know." Nasolo nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Thank you, Mama Zina. Your words mean a lot." Months passed, and the family thrived in Muyenga. Their business flourished, and their son grew happier and more confident each day. They found solace in their new life, the past becoming a distant memory. The peace they had longed for was finally theirs. One night, as the family sat under the stars, Kisule took Nasolo's hand. "We did it," he said softly. "We found our peace." Nasolo smiled, her heart full. "Yes, we did," she replied. "And we will cherish it always." However, something strange began to trouble them about their new home. During the day, the house would be inexplicably cold despite the warm weather outside. At night, it became unbearably hot, forcing the family to sleep outside under the stars. One day, while working at the market, Nasolo struck up a conversation with an older lady, her neighbor at the market. "I think something is not right in my house," Nasolo confided. The older lady looked concerned. "Where is your house?" she asked. Nasolo described the location, and the old lady's face paled. "My child," she began hesitantly, "there is a story about that place. 20 years ago, a couple lived there. They were outsiders, like you, and kept to themselves. One night, while they were sleeping, a candle burned down their house, and they perished in the fire. The villagers buried them on that land." Nasolo's heart sank as the woman continued. 10 years later, the land was sold to a rich real estate developer. He constructed the house you now live in. When we urged him to move the graves to the cemetery, he refused, saying it was too costly and troublesome. Nasolo felt a chill run down her spine. "We moved here to find peace," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "Now see what's happening." She quickly asked the old lady, "Do you remember exactly where the couple was buried?" The old lady nodded. "Yes, I do. They were buried near where your living room now stands." The developer covered their graves with the foundation of the new house. Terrified, Nasolo rushed home to tell Kisule what she had learned. That night, they sat by the fire, trying to figure out what to do. "We can't live like this," Nasolo said, her voice trembling. "We need to find a way to lay their spirits to rest." Kisule nodded. "Let's gather what we need. We'll perform a ritual to honor their spirits and ask for their forgiveness." The next day, they visited Mama Zina, who had become a close friend and confidant. When they told her the story, she listened intently and then nodded. "I have some knowledge of the old ways," she said. "We will need to perform a cleansing ritual to appease the spirits." That evening, under Mama Zina's guidance, they gathered in the living room. They brought offerings of fruit, flowers, and incense. Mama Zina chanted ancient prayers, asking the spirits for their forgiveness and promising to honor their memory. Kisule and Nasolo, holding their son close, added their voices to the prayers, their hearts heavy with hope and fear. As the ritual continued, the air in the room grew still. A soft, cool breeze seemed to emanate from the very walls, and the oppressive heat of the previous nights dissipated. When the ritual ended, Mama Zina placed a final offering of fruit and whispered, "Rest in peace." Days passed, still Kisule was not contented with the ritual that was performed. As they were still feeling unsettled, troubled by their feelings, they decided to seek advice from the village imam, hoping for a spiritual solution to their predicament. When they arrived at the imam's house, he welcomed them warmly and listened intently to their story. "Did you make a dua for entering a new house?" he asked. Nasolo and Kisule exchanged a glance and shook their heads. "No, we didn't," Kisule admitted. The imam nodded thoughtfully. "It's important to seek Allah's blessings when entering a new home. Let us make a new house opening dua and celebrate with our community. With Allah's grace, everything will be fine." Encouraged by the imam's words, Kisule and Nasolo decided to throw a grand feast, inviting their neighbors and friends to celebrate their new beginning. They spread the word throughout Muyenga, and the village eagerly prepared to join the festivities. On the day of the feast, their home was filled with the sounds of laughter and chatter. The air was fragrant with the aroma of delicious food, and the warmth of the community's presence dispelled any lingering shadows. The imam led the gathering in a heartfelt dua, asking Allah for peace, prosperity, and protection for the household. As the imam concluded the prayer, a sense of calm and tranquility settled over the house. Nasolo and Kisule felt an overwhelming sense of relief and gratitude. The villagers celebrated with them, sharing in their joy and offering their blessings. From that day on, the strange occurrences in the house ceased. The days were no longer cold, and the nights were comfortably cool. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the house became a sanctuary of peace and harmony. A few months later, Nasolo began to feel a change within her. With joyful anticipation, she visited the village healer, who confirmed her hopes. Nasolo was pregnant. The news spread quickly through the village, and the community rejoiced with the family. Months passed, and Nasolo gave birth to two beautiful twin girls. The couple named them Amina and Sophia, symbols of the peace and prosperity they had prayed for. The girls brought immeasurable joy to their parents and were cherished by the entire village. Kisule and Nasolo watched their daughters grow, their hearts filled with gratitude for the blessings they had received. The trials they had faced only strengthened their bond and deepened their faith. They knew that their journey, though marked by challenges, had ultimately led them to a place of profound happiness and contentment. Overall, the story emphasizes that with love, faith, community support, and respect for traditions, one can overcome difficulties and achieve a harmonious and prosperous life. Spiritual practices. The story underscores the significance of religious and spiritual practices, such as making dua and seeking blessings when entering a new home, to bring peace and prosperity. Respect for the past, honoring the memories and spirits of those who came before is crucial for maintaining harmony and respect in one's environment. Gratitude and celebration. Embracing gratitude and celebrating life's blessings, even in the face of challenges, fosters a positive and fulfilling life.